Hello there. Welcome back to In a Galaxy, where we watch all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. In our 24th episode, we will be taking a look at the last volume of the 2003 series, Star Wars Clone Wars. It's been a wild ride, but we have reached the end, and we have a lot to talk about. I'm Jacob.
I'm Eli. We watched 72 minutes, 72 of them, of Clone Wars. It was just a big finisher act. Before I get into it, actually, I want to call out two amazing podcasts who were kind enough to feature stuff from us on their podcast. Number one is Pink Milk. Pink Milk featured some AP exam questions. They also talked about my obsession with Ochi Festoon. Because they randomly answered 2 out of the 3 Ochi questions I put in there. It was completely random, yet it was awesome. Anyway.
You're just surrounding yourself with enablers at this point.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Anyway, so that's cool. Thank you, Brian and Tom, for featuring those questions. And
Thank you so much, Pink Milk.
Yeah,
so
thanks
excited.
so much. I'm so excited to see their coverage from a career perspective of The Mandalorian. They're doing that for the next month. That's really cool. Next is a huge shout out to Alden Diaz of Octo Radio, who featured my question to him, and I really appreciated his answers about Jedi Fallen Order. He also, the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order. And he also gave us a very nice shout out on his most recent episode of Octo Radio. That's very nice of him, and so thank you for that, Alden. Let's get into it. What don't you think? You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's get into it.
So we have a lot. You want to start? You want?
Yeah, sure. I can't wait.
Okay.
Where did we leave off? The Battle of Coruscant?
We left off. On Munlist.
Oh, Munlist.
On
Okay.
Munlist, and Anakin and Obi-Wan. After Anakin defeats Ventress, he gets Obi-Wan and Anakin gets word of strange occurrences happening on the planet of Hypori.
Ooh,
I'm
Hypori.
excited
Infamous.
for this because it's the arrival of the character I've been hyping up for 2 episodes now.
General Grievous.
General Grievous
Right?
has arrived,
Not wrong?
everyone,
Alright.
and this is not Matt Wood, like Grievous who runs away from everything. No, this is like psychological horror villain Grievous.
Yeah. But first, I have a small note.
I think I know what you're
Munlist.
talking about.
We see
and
no, it's not a furry.
it's not a werewolf.
Wolfif Mon, a Shistavanen Jedi Master. That is a mouthful. The Shistavanen were actually nicknamed Wolfmen, fittingly so. They were from the planet Uvena Prime, and they were a very isolationist species, so it's kind of rare to see one off-world venturing into galactic society. But those who did, because of their lupine, wolf-like characteristics, their sense of smell, their good hearing, high speed, and stamina, they made excellent bounty hunters and were often also hired as scouts and mercenaries. Also, according to Wikipedia, their evolution was shaped by unknown genetic engineers, so they did not evolve entirely naturally, which is pretty interesting. I couldn't find a lot to follow up on this, but I don't know, just a fun tidbit, just some food for thought. Let's get into Grievous.
Oh, I was going to say, before we get into that, I was just going to say, I love that the first note that Jacob and I both take about this, because we share our notes with each other, the first note of both of us that requires research was about the exact same thing. I was going to mention if you didn't. I will also mention
my
that
bad.
Vulvif Mon's Jedi Master was named Pauloish Radul.
Excuse
So that
me?
happened.
I don't know.
I love
Wow.
this. We just saw a random werewolf running along the Jedi, and they decided to give him a name and a backstory. It's
No,
beautiful.
I love this show.
It's great. Yeah, they literally made a werewolf Jedi. Let's go on to Hypori, and man, General Grievous is dangerous.
Wow. Yeah, he is really something else. We see him coming in. Rip Padawan Shaggy.
Yes, they ripped up. They put Shaggy in Star Wars as a Padawan. Everyone, Rutro. Yeah. Go ahead.
So what do we see here? General Grievous, I think his entrance scene where we see the holo projector rolling along the ground, and then we see his foot bashing over it. That's awesome. Iconic moment. You gotta love that.
It's really, it's just nuts. This entire scene, like, I'd love to call it a lightsaber duel and to do a duel analysis, but I can't do a duel analysis because this wasn't a lightsaber duel. It was a massacre. That's what it was.
It was just Grievous going bananas.
Yes, it was like Ki-Adi-Mundi survived, Aayla Secura survived barely, Shaak-Ti survived barely, K'Kruk looked like he was dead but survived barely, and all of the other Jedi just got wiped out.
Yeah, he's so much scarier than in the Clone Wars. He won't run away. He's unstoppable.
My thing is, I almost consider, at this point, Grievous in Clone Wars and Grievous in actual canon as different characters.
Really?
Because
they're
so different.
They are very different.
His Mace Windu has that line in Revenge of the Sith, General Grievous will run and hide like he always does. Like he always does! He was chasing down fools in this version, he was making them run and hide.
Yeah, but I think we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Grievous's voice. The transition from this voice to his voice in the Filoni Clone Wars it's like the change from Vader's voice on the set of A New Hope to then using James Earl Jones.
Start tearing this ship apart piece by piece until you find those tapes. Find the passengers of this vessel. I want them alive!
As crazy, badass, scary, monstrous, cyber warlord criminal he may be in this, his voice it doesn't quite fit the bill. It sounds more like the cheap speaker on a General Hux action figure than what Grievous would sound like. Now
there's a link of Vader with his original voice that we'll put down in the description of the podcast.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, you should. It's quite funny.
Actually, I was going to make another Vader metaphor for Grievous. Grievous in Clone Wars and Grievous in Revenge of the Sith or The Clone Wars is like Vader in Rogue One versus Vader in A New Hope.
Yeah.
Rogue One Vader is hallway scene, badass, just ripping those rebel fools away like it's nothing. Vader in A New Hope is boom. Boom. I'll strike at Obi-Wan this way. Like, that entire fight, as meaningful as it is, it's one of the, in my opinion, worst choreographed fights in Star Wars just because of how weird they're just poking at each other.
I think it's pretty good for what they had at the time, where they had to
for what they had at the time.
They have spinning mirrors, which
yeah,
that's kind of hard to choreograph with, as opposed to being able to do more CGI work.
It was revolutionary for the time, but it doesn't hold up well when you consider the other lightsaber duels.
It didn't age well. I have a soft spot for it, but I have to admit it didn't age well.
Anything about that specific segment about Hypori and Grievous? Because this is like, I love how they shot it like a horror movie. They literally shot it like it was a picture of. They did so many flashing beneath and to and from. Like they do a flash of one of the Jedi, and then they do a flash of like the Empress where Grievous would eventually stomp. Then they do another flash to like Ki-Adi-Mundi. Then they do another flash to that area. Then they do a flash like it was building that tension like a horror movie would build tension.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, going back to what you said in previous conversations, Eli. It feels like the kind of the campfire story feel of almost. This is so terrifying. Is this even real? It almost feels a little bit mythologized, but I don't really mind it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. I love the mythology aspect of it, and I really tapped in the horror thing with this so far as to go when Grievous showed up. Like when I did one of his jump scare appearances later, I literally wrote down in my notes, "Here's Grievous."
First of all, we cut back to Yoda. Stormy day on Coruscant. Yoda sitting in the
Isn't
Jedi
that
Council
symbolism
chambers.
right there?
He's talking to his reflection. Interesting. Yoda, are you okay, bro? Are you okay, bro? You need someone to talk to? But seriously.
All the Jedi are off to war, and he's just like, alone I am.
Yeah. Forever alone.
Forever sleep.
Moving on, though.
Go on, yeah.
The gunship scene, that's just awesome. Even though the clones, the Moonlance 10, actually, it is the Moonlance 10, which is the elite ARC troopers led by, of course, none other than the
Captain Fordo.
Who doesn't love Fordo? The coolest clone, in my opinion.
Jacob, I think, is gonna fanboy about Fordo in this episode as much as I'm gonna fanboy about Grievous.
I love the clones. I love their painted armor. They're badass. You know, they're.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the clones.
Do we want to go?
I found out that the livery on the gunship, the big tooth mouth, it's a little hard to tell, but I did some research and I found out that it is actually a Rancor.
Interesting.
And that was the symbol of the Moonlance 10.
Sounds about right, honestly.
Rancors on Moonlance, but okay. Okay, so first of all, Yoda has the before this, in between the two scenes, Yoda has a vision of Qui-Gon training Anakin.
Wait, well, I first of all, I think that's like way after that, and second
really?
of all,
because I have that in my notes.
Is that Yoda's vision? I always thought that was Anakin's vision.
I mean, we see it, and then we immediately see Yoda then opening it. The amount of times Yoda like opens his eyes and then his eyes get wide in this series, that's a recurring trope for sure. But
Star Wars Clone Wars drinking game. Take a shot anytime that Grievous, Mace Windu, or Yoda do anything crazy impressive, or dirge, and then take a shot every time Yoda's eyes open wide like that.
Oh
take a shot anytime Obi-Wan's sarcastic.
Oh my gosh. Hakuna Matata. I remember the Hakuna Matata bug scene. I don't know why I associate it with Hakuna Matata. I think I saw an edit of it, like a video edit of that a while
We'll get
back.
to that later, but let's talk about that Qui-Gon and Anakin scene, because I thought it was really interesting.
I think it was, I don't know, I'm a little confused. I interpreted it as Yoda imagining what might have been, because we can be pretty sure that Anakin and Qui-Gon never went to Dagobah. And this is the cave that
is the cave from Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, it's we can assume it's that cave safely. So yeah, I thought it was a vision of what might have been, and Yoda was kind of, I don't know if it was maybe fantasizing, mourning over as the galaxy is engulfed further in the darkness. What it's kind of longing for a different path. If Qui-Gon had ever been defeated by Darth Maul, and if he had been able to train Anakin. How did you interpret it?
Yeah, what I got about that scene was, did you realize that he said, Anakin asked what's in there, and Qui-Gon said, only what you take with you. And often I write like these little improvised scenes based on funny moments. So this was, so I have a line I have. Works it does. Use it when testing Padawans, you must. But Master Yoda must. Like, does everyone use that line when training Padawans? Like, is there like a ritual? It's like an instruction manual how to teach cave.
I don't know. Maybe Yoda said it before. Maybe Yoda said it to Qui-Gon during his Padawan training. We don't know. But next, this is a scene that I kind of. That I thought was pretty significant. Was the scene when they are debating? Anakin? No, we're not there yet. In the Jedi Council chambers, the council's there. They're debating whether or not Anakin should be a knight. First of all, Easter egg alert. Are you thinking of what I'm thinking, Eli?
I don't know if you're... Go ahead, say it.
Kit Fisto calls Anakin a cunning warrior and the best pilot.
Very nice. You know what I also noticed in that meeting? I think it's like one of the only Jedi Council meetings we have where everybody talks.
Everybody
actually
talks,
think about it.
No one's there by hologram, right? Everyone's actually there?
Well, everyone's there in episodes 1 and 2 as well.
Oh, really? Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
No, but it's one of the only ones where everyone actually talks. It's not just Yoda, Mace Windu, and Ki-Adi-Mundi the entire time.
Talk. All you do is talk.
It reminded me of the scene from the Robot Chicken. So it's from Yariel Poof Part 1. So it's a council now? I didn't know it was the council. I just thought it was the two of you now. What do you think, Dogface? Is it the council now?
Oh my god.
If anyone has not watched Yariel Poof's Parts 1, 2, and 3 from Robot Chicken, do it right now because they're hilarious.
Yeah, go do it. You won't regret it, I think. As long as you're fine with profanity and species-based insulting.
Yeah, I wanted to get the calamari pizza until I was informed that Mon Calamari are a species and we don't do that. Oh no!
My time is short.
My-
Yoda, I am. Ooh.
Talk weird, I do, and never let anyone. Okay, let's go on.
Okay. Going on, moving on. What was really interesting in this scene to me, what stuck out to me was that we actually saw Obi-Wan standing up for Anakin, advocating
He went to bat for him.
to the Jedi Council. He said, well, he basically said, you know, Anakin's really strong. He's learned a lot. He's grown a lot, and we need all the knights we can get. So he might be a good fit, which is interesting because we don't see him do that to his face, and it makes me sad to think that maybe if Anakin had gotten to see that side of how Obi-Wan saw him, instead of Obi-Wan always trying to present himself as the stoic teacher that would never give an inch, maybe the relationship wouldn't have been so fraught, and maybe he wouldn't have gone to the dark side.
Who's the only other Jedi who went to bat for Anakin ever?
Qui-Gon.
It was Qui-Gon. And Qui-Gon, because of that reason, because of so many other reasons, was the mentor Anakin deserved.
Yes.
But of course, he wasn't the one Anakin got. And we'll discuss that more in this episode. I got some juicy notes, and I think you do too, about the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan and how it relates back to Qui-Gon. Also, by the way,
yes,
I found it weird. The Jedi Council is all there in person again, and the thing they're discussing is a pressing council meeting in a war. And it's the promotion of one single Padawan to knighthood. I know he's the chosen one, but that does not negate the fact that it is one Padawan. One.
I think part of what made Anakin's experience with the Jedi so difficult was that not only did he was getting special treatment, but also there was an immense amount of pressure on him. Like,
Yes.
everyone's like, "Oh, you're the chosen one. You're going to destroy the Sith." And he's like,
Yeah.
I'm just a teenager. Chill already."
Yeah. That special status is the chosen one sort of thing, because they would never have a council meeting about one Padawan.
Yeah. Speaking
Ever,
of relationships, though. Speaking of relationships, why does Anakin ambush Padme, pull her into a dark alley, and pull his lightsaber on her? What's that about?
I think he feared he was getting attacked.
I don't understand, though. He pulled her into the alley. I don't know.
No, he didn't pull
Little
her.
weird.
She pulled him in the alley.
Oh, she did?
She was
okay.
waiting in the alley not with 3PO. She was waiting in the alley, and then she pulled him in, and he drew his lightsaber. It's just like a security thing.
Huh. Okay, maybe I miswatched them. Maybe I misinterpreted it. They were both wearing cloaks. Yeah. Some very different music when C-3PO drops his cloak.
I actually had one more
shows
thing
off
about
his shiny new gold plating.
Yes, that was very what was I gonna say? I noticed one other thing from the council meeting. One of the Jedi in the council meeting about Anakin's knighthood says Palpatine's been requesting this for months now, which is like the best addition into that scene ever, because of course Palpatine's been requesting it.
It shows the manipulation. He's trying to get Anakin on his side. He's the one always gonna encourage Anakin when the Jedi Council
He's the guy who's gone to bat
punishes
most
him.
for Anakin. Ironically,
more than
he is
even
the
Obi-Wan.
guy. More than Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had more time to, but still.
So then Anakin is knighted, and there's a really touching moment in between Anakin and Obi-Wan. We see Obi-Wan say, "It's time we become brothers."
Brothers. Did you think of the same moment that I did?
And you were my brother, Anakin?
You
I
are my
love you.
brother, Anakin! Literally, the scene flashed before my eyes. I'm like, oh my god, I'm not crying, you're crying.
The thing is...
And that was the problem, too.
That was the problem. Yeah, that's the thing is... The thing that makes Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship so kind of really, truly heartbreaking is they both clearly loved each other. Not romantically,
as
but
brothers.
they
but
had a
not
lot
as
of
a
love for each
father-son
other.
relationship.
Anakin was consciously or subconsciously, Anakin looked for a father-son relationship. He wanted Obi-Wan to be more affectionate to him, and just he needed that.
But Obi-Wan and Anakin were too close in age, and they just didn't have that.
Obi-Wan looked to Anakin as a brother, someone that he would hold accountable, who would hold him accountable, who they would constantly be kind of
bickering,
fighting to improve each other. And Anakin kind of, it seems at times he needed a father figure, and they both they both clearly loved each other very much, but it never really. That's what makes this bittersweet, I think. That's what makes it kind of sad, is that there's a fundamental miscommunication at the very center of their relationship.
Yeah, and then they knight Anakin in a special ceremony fitting of the Chosen One, where they do the lightsabers, and Yoda does the ceremonial blade. Yeah, that's why they did that knighting ceremony. They usually are just like, yeah, you're knighted, okay, good.
Really? Because in the Jedi... Weird, okay, in the Jedi Path, which I believed was canon with this, it showed that picture. Or it showed a drawing of the Jedi in a circle with their lightsabers drawn in the dark, so... I don't know. We'll figure that out.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. There's probably going to be a future Eli here. Future Eli here. Jacob was right. I was wrong. It's done for every night. It's not just a special Chosen One thing. Just because of that. By the way, did you notice? Padme is sent Anakin's braid.
Yes.
And as
what's in the box,
and as she sent it, or in some point in that sequence, the binary sunset plays.
Aww.
And then infused into the binary sunset theme is a little bit of the Imperial March, which is just chilling.
Yeah, that was a really good moment. It kind of shows the.
Also, Padme gives Anakin a gift. As for becoming a knight. Did you catch the gift?
I did not.
R2-D2.
Wow, I didn't realize.
Yeah, so in Legends, basically, Anakin didn't work with R2 until he became a knight. Which I don't like that idea as a story idea, but I will admit the moment that R2 jumps into Anakin's cockpit, I'm like, this is good. A dream team is being born. This is good. I like this. I
feel like it doesn't make a huge difference, but it's a cool moment. It adds a cool element to this version of the story to say, oh, and R2 was a gift from Padme to Anakin.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of a cool moment.
Did you also realize, so as soon as Anakin's knighted, they change his appearance from the Attack of the Clones inspired appearance to the Revenge of the Sith inspired appearance, and Anakin gets his bathtub scar.
There's a time jump.
Yeah, there is a time jump.
I looked it up, and there is a.
He also gets his bathtub scar, which, in case people don't know what I'm talking about, Anakin has a scar over his right eye in Revenge of the Sith. In Legends canon, that was gotten by an injury that he received at the hands of Asajj Ventress. But George Lucas, when asked about it, said, oh yeah, I think he just got it slipping in the bathtub.
Wait, really?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. George Lucas. Wow.
Yes. And did you also notice, then we get a jump, and then we see Anakin and Obi-Wan, I'm pretty sure on what is the world of Jabim. And then, of course, we have the scene. I was talking about it on Twitter a couple days ago with people because it's just such a strange scene. Anakin, not Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan doesn't do this. Anakin eats bugs.
He does eat bugs on the rainy planet.
You're the one that taught me to feed off the living force, Master.
This planet is... Why doesn't it say in my notes? I could have sworn I
think it's Jabim. I think that's Jabim.
Oh, that's Jabim?
I think that's Jabim.
Bugs. Poor Obi-Wan. He doesn't like bugs. He doesn't like sewers. He's a classy guy.
He's a classy guy. You know who I wanted in this scene? You know who would have made the scene like 25% better?
Yes.
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
Just imagine Ahsoka's like absolute disgust at Anakin eating bugs. Did you notice, by the way, the plan that Anakin has to figure out, and how solidly Obi-Wan predicts that's amazing. The plan Anakin has is like the most Anakin Skywalker plan I've ever heard of, which is basically just, let's sneak in, we'll destroy it, and we'll see what happens.
That kind of reminds me of the scene in the Clone Wars movie from 2008, where Anakin and Ahsoka surpass an entire legion of battle droids and get to a almost unguarded shield generator, separatist shield generator.
From the movie,
on Christophsis, the 2008 movie.
Yeah.
They find it by hiding under a box.
Yes. It's one of the most. That's also a very Anakin plan. It's just like, okay, we'll just try this and see what happens.
Yeah.
There is
4-month shield blockade also.
Yeah, 4 months. That's ridiculous.
It's funny how cheerful Cody is. He's
it's crazy.
Yes, sir. We're right on schedule. 3 more months. And
3 more months. Let's do this. Let's do this. We got this, everyone. Oh my God. I want to jump back a little bit. There's a scene before where Grievous is. There are clones. I think it's on Munilist, maybe, where they're clones and they're shooting at Grievous, and Grievous is trying to. Remember, it's the scene with the lot, the aircraft carrier and all that kind of stuff. You know that scene? Did you notice that the clones were all trying to shoot at Grievous, and it was creating a red mist, and it was like they were all trying to shoot at Grievous, and Grievous was just trying to run away and all of that?
Yeah.
Did that remind you of anything?
No. I'm not quite sure what you're going for here.
Jacob, look at me right now, okay?
Oh, it
gave me Last Jedi vibes.
Because so much gunfire just didn't do anything.
So much gunfire, red smoke. I'm like, oh yeah, this is Last Jedi cinematography 101 right there. For those who can't, of course you can't see us, but I just did the rub it off, the thing that Luke does at the end of 8. The
end of episode 8.
I found some other sequel visual imagery connections that I'll talk about later, but let's go to anything before we go on to Nelvaan, the planet of Nelvaan.
A couple things. First of all, they get in. They come up from the sewers. They're in the main reactor. Anakin, he pushes up the trapdoor. He yells, "Let's go!" Fires up his lightsaber, and somehow the droids don't notice.
No one hears him.
This is in a different continuity, but when Dooku says those battle droids are expensive to Grievous, if they really are expensive, he really needs to get his money back. He really needs to find a different
He really
supplier.
does. Like, they should be able to hear him. But again,
another thing
we gotta digress here. Of course, after we make such strange statements, we're gonna repeat our sentiment from last episode. Star Wars is about the why, not the how. But let's go on.
Yeah, Star Wars is about the why, not the how. But the how is still pretty.
But the how is fun to talk about. So...
The how is fun to talk about. The how is fun to research. The how is fun to read about. But it's about the why, not the how.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the who. It's about the
who. And the who. Absolutely.
Not the band. The people. Not the band. Not the band. The who.
Yeah.
What if there was a Star Wars movie starring the
fields. Okay. Let's go to Nelvaan. Did you know a trivia fact about Nelvaan? The animation company, the animation company that did Clone Wars, is called Nelvana.
Really? So this is a reference to that.
So they just flipped the left letters and made it Nelvaan.
Nelvaan?
Yeah, Nelvaan, 2 A's.
Yeah, so they meet the Nelvaanians. I mean, not much to say about them. They're a pretty cool species.
Yeah, they reminded this whole Nelvaan plotline reminded me of a Clone Wars episode, like a Filoni Clone Wars episode.
It did.
I mean, it's slightly trippy, but Dave Filoni has been known to go there, so it's like, you know.
Yeah, it reminds me of the way they have, and I'm not honestly sure how well it would go over today. Some of the, with the way some of the imagery from the Nelvaanians hewed pretty closely to some Native American American
artwork. Yeah, I did notice that. It is strange.
Yeah, I don't feel qualified to talk about that really. I don't have a lot of knowledge in that field, so I think we should just steer clear of that.
Yeah, but we should mention it, and we did, and we're good.
We're good.
Yeah,
it cuts back to Coruscant, right?
Yeah.
Right after that.
I have an idea. It cuts constantly between Nelvaan and Coruscant. Let's talk about Nelvaan first.
All right, we're talking about Nelvaan first. So the story starts out. Anakin and Obi-Wan get there. All the warriors are gone. Only women and children.
Only the women and the children. Did you notice the
reference?
Not just the men, but the women and the children. Like that's where my mind immediately went.
That we may be grasping at straws. In fact, we probably are.
We probably are.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, I also
Of course,
did. You
Anakin
notice
is
that
there.
Obi-Wan, right after they kill that monster, did you notice Obi-Wan immediately senses a disturbance in the Force?
Yeah, immediately. Pretty cool.
I gotta say, I'm kind of tired of the disturbance in the Force trope. I hope they use it a lot less. I think it's becoming kind of corny.
Okay, that's fair.
Especially in the prequel era. They use it a lot in the prequel era. Just because there are so many Jedi out there, and they constantly are having disturbances in the Force because it's like dark times. But yeah.
So Anakin becomes the champion.
The champion, yeah.
He gets the leeches that paint designs
tattoo
on
leeches.
his six-pack.
I call them tattoo leeches. This is my favorite thing. Coruscant is currently under siege by the Separatists, and Anakin is trying to enter a mother of something's mouth being painted by tattoo leeches.
Yeah,
Sounds about right.
No, they don't call him. I assume he's got to be out of soul service, right? They can't just not call two of the very star
that sounds
Jedi.
about right, honestly, because like they couldn't, like, you know, if they couldn't go on that side quest if they knew the Republic was being attacked at that very moment and Palpatine was gonna, like, there was an attempted and later successful kidnapping of Palpatine. Yeah.
I know. It's crazy.
It was crazy.
So then we see. I'm sorry, my notes are out of order for this, so it's going to take me a minute.
Yeah.
We end up. It's the Skakoans. Anakin has this vision.
It's the Skakoans. Which, by the way, did this remind you of the Bad Batch at all?
This reminded me a ton of the Bad Batch. Performing cybernetic testing on the Nelvaan warriors.
This was, yeah.
The Clone Wars definitely took inspiration from this. I think it's clear that Filoni's paying homage to Tartakovsky.
I will say this. The test tubes that the Nelvaanian warriors are in, you know what they looked like a little bit to me?
Bacta tanks?
No, actually.
I mean Snoke.
Oh no, the Snoke tanks.
The Snoke tanks. It looked like almost identical to the Snoke tanks. That's immediately where my mind went. I saw it. I'm like, so you made Snoke. Cool.
Yeah.
Those are the two sequel connections I got. There's an interesting message in here. So the Nelvaanians are being turned into, like, basically monsters. It's a very they're being turned into monsters. And did you hear Obi-Wan saying something about, like, now they're people, now they're back, but the real monster they're gonna have to battle with is the monster within. Did you catch that?
Is that a PTSD reference?
I don't think it's a PTSD. I think. Well, first of all, I've skimmed over the plot. Basically, Anakin, there was one Nelvaanian warrior that was in the middle of being transformed, and they were able to convince all the other Nelvaanian warriors to snap out of it and like kill battle droids and all that stuff. And then they returned home. But the monster within I was referring to, I thought it was a reference. Number one, it was a reference to Anakin himself. Becoming the monster Darth Vader. But the better reference, and it ties in with the Bad Batch too, the clones. The clones within themselves, with the flip of that switch with the inhibitor chips inside. I mean, it's not inhibitor chips in Legends, but it's inhibitor chips. I'm going with inhibitor chips. With the inhibitor chips inside themselves, have the capacity to become monsters. The real monster is the monster within. They turn from they turn from these benevolent warriors of good with the Republic to the evil face of the Stormtroopers with the Empire. I mean, I know the Stormtroopers aren't clones, but, like, that's where the army with the Republic goes. Yeah.
Welcome to the main event.
Coruscant.
Wow.
Let me just say this, okay?
Here.
I just want to say this, okay?
Yeah.
This segment, this plot line was the most beautiful plot line in the entire thing. It was my favorite. It was beautiful. It was just great.
What did you we'll get to it. How come you liked it so much?
The epic scale of it all, the where it all leads, how good it ties. We'll get into this later, of course. How well it ties into Revenge of the Sith, especially. I love that. Let's go with it.
All right, let's go with it. Take it from the top. How does
So,
Yoda not notice until the droids are right on top of him?
yeah.
Literally right on top of him. It is a cool dramatic effect.
It's a dramatic effect, but it's kind of like really.
I don't know. I was willing to let it slide. I'm not going
Yeah.
to say it bugged me. It was just a moment.
I also liked the image of Palpatine in his office. You know, he knows intellectually in his head that this attack is coming, but he has to act like he has no idea. And he really plays up that part. He's drinking tea. There's that phrase that Nero and Emperor Nero fiddled while Rome burned. Palpatine is drinking tea while Coruscant is under an attack. Because he's as much of a tyrant as Nero is. It's like poetry, it's rhymes.
He's watching the battle and just sipping tea.
Yeah.
How has no one evacuated him until the Jedi get there?
Really.
Doesn't have guards or anything. I think the Jedi should have been suspicious. Obviously, 2020 hindsight, but I don't know. Like,
how to describe this year in 2 words?
As much as I hate to admit it, the Jedi are causing a ton of collateral damage in this battle.
Yeah. Though you know who I love in this battle?
They're not doing the greatest job.
The 2 Jedi who are accompanying Palpatine, who I see Jacob in his notes wrote as, where is it? Ithorian and Snowman.
Well, he's from the snow planet. I can't remember what the species is called. I don't know what
I
I'm
think
supposed
it's Tal.
to say.
I think you're talking about Tals. I'll tell you the names. The Snowman is Foul Mondam or something like that. Let me
Foul Mondam.
I'm gonna look at that right now. I have notes on it. I was looking at this. Foul no wait, not Foul Nope, Mondam. The other guy, Foul Mondam and Ruran Karab. The Ithorian is Ruran Karab. Both of them are badass.
It's a pity we don't get to see any more badass Ithorians. Ithorians are kind of I feel like in Star Wars, they're just kind of there. They always end up playing the roles of these just kind of meek characters, but
they're
not this time. The battle cry. Cry thing
he does this
and
thing called Force
holes.
Scream, where he just screams and he rips stuff up from the ground, and Grievous has to like jump from place to place. That was incredible.
That was incredible. Yeah. He does it twice. He almost defeats Grievous with it.
He almost kills Grievous with it. My favorite thing is, do you notice all the elevator stuff they do with this? It reminded me of
there's so much
the beginning of Revenge of the Sith.
Oh really?
R2,
it reminded me.
R2, activate elevator 31174. R2. No, we need to be going up.
Do they really expect us to believe that there are 31,000 elevators on the Phantom on the?
Probably not. It probably just like code names or something. But
I guess.
But yeah.
Still though.
Also,
couldn't have just
Magna
been elevator
Guards.
5.
First appearance of Magna Guards. Should have seen more of them, but they were awesome still.
Yeah.
I freaking love Magna Guards.
Before we get there, I'm gonna double back just for a moment.
Yep.
Here's the problem I see. Shaak Ti and the other 2 Jedi. I already forgot their names, so I'm just gonna call them Ithorian and Snowman. Sorry, not sorry.
I don't care.
I am sorry.
Maudama. Foul Maudama is the name.
Okay. Maudama.
And Karab.
Maudama, Karab, and Shaak Ti.
Yeah.
They leave the clone troopers and the Senate guards after they take Palpatine. They just leave. They lock the door behind them and leave them to fend for themselves against Grievous.
Yeah, that was
no
not
wonder
great.
some of the clones turned.
I mean, that was a chip in their head, but I see where you're getting with the...
Yeah, but in this continuity, it wasn't. In this continuity...
They were just programmed.
In this continuity, they followed the orders without question.
No, it was because of their internal programming in this one.
Okay.
Yeah, but still, it doesn't matter.
In any case...
They don't treat their clones...
Some of the clones...
Well...
They didn't regret... It makes sense that the clones didn't regret it afterwards.
Also,
after they knew it
we also gotta go a little bit back, and we gotta talk about Yoda and Mace Windu. Oh my god, okay. Yoda forcing, like, he lifts his hand, hundreds of droidekas just go flying, and then...
Wow, yeah.
And then he forces tanks back into their carriers, forces those carriers back into their other carriers, and then forces the big carriers to collide with each other. That's amazing. Awesome. I mean, I love Yoda already, but, like, that is just incredible.
It does a lot of collateral damage, but damn, Yoda.
Damn, Yoda. Back at it again with the Force moves. It's just like let's see what else.
The entire train sequence kind of reminds me. It's not a perfect match. It's not a similar scenario, really. None of the choreography is the same, but it really reminded me of Grievous and Obi-Wan's fight on the internal trains of the Malevolence.
Yeah,
in season 1
I
of the
can see
Clone
that.
Wars.
I'm
wondering if Filoni was maybe taking a nod to this
you know what I was
or whoever made it
was
when they
reminded of?
decided to put that in.
You know what I was reminded of?
What?
Frogger. And every one of those games where you have to like jump from platform to platform without
Yeah.
like colliding with something. That was
That
like
gave me,
straight out
like-
of a video game.
That got my heart pumping without even just watching it.
I-
Was like, oh my gosh.
I was like,
oh my
really?
gosh.
We're doing Frogger now?
It was awesome though.
It was really
When
cool.
Shock T and Nick Chancellor are cornered,
Yeah.
and then Shock T ties Grievous's cape to the train.
Yeah, that was cool.
Wow, hats off. Like,
Yeah.
what can I say except
Yeah. Shock T gets a
That
lot of
is
good time in here
200.
that she didn't get in
That is-
Revenge of the Sith.
that is 200 IQ.
Yeah. And what was I gonna say? And then Shock T is tied up and Grievous captures Palpatine. I have one thing to say to you about that, Jacob. One thing for you to say, okay? Dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun. War. The Republic is crumbling under attacks by the ruthless Sith Lord, Count Dooku. There are heroes on both sides. Evil is everywhere. In a stunning move, the fiendish droid leader, General Grievous, has swept into the Republic capital and kidnapped Chancellor Palpatine, leader of the Galactic Senate. As the Separatist droid army attempts to flee the besieged capital with their valuable hostage, two Jedi Knights lead a desperate mission to rescue the captive Chancellor. ...
Crazy.
I literally thought of the Revenge of the Sith crawl as we ended this thing. It was. I love how it tied in so well. It was beautiful.
I thought that it was. I thought that this. Are we talking about the ending now?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that the ending was premature until I realized it literally is designed to
Tie into
it goes
Revenge of the
perfectly.
Sith.
It ties in
Yeah.
perfectly with Revenge of the Sith.
which is
That's
what we
clever.
thought the Clone Wars were gonna do before they literally went into Revenge of the Sith.
They went into Revenge of the Sith, which is also a great choice. I
Awesome
think.
choice. I think the only reason I was a little underwhelmed, or you and I were a little underwhelmed, is because we saw the Clone Wars literally going through Revenge of the Sith, but both of them are great. We're gonna save our actual final thoughts on the entire Clone Wars and on Attack of the Clones, which we did earlier this season, for next week's episode, which is going to be our season 3 finale. We're ending season 3 next week, which is crazy. But first, we gotta talk about the segment we do every single week.
1 quarter portion.
We did it!
Wait.
We're at 1/4 portion right now. What do we have? We have our segment, It's a Long Story. In It's a Long Story, we explain Star Wars badly to each other and see if we can get it. Okay.
All right, you want to go first?
I'll go first, I guess. Let's do this. Okay.
1/4 portion. Here we go.
Okay. It's a long story. Actually, let's start it like this. I have an idea. It's a long story, but two warriors walk into a desert. They fight, and one dies, and then with his dying breath, the dying warrior asks the other warrior that killed him to avenge him.
Oh, twin sons from Star Wars Rebels.
Very correct.
Yay! Ding, ding, ding. All right.
My favorite
here's
episode
mine.
of Rebels. Yep.
Nice one. Yeah, that's your favorite episode?
Yeah, absolutely. No contest. It's
yeah.
the one where Maul
Oh yeah, we've
dies.
had discussions. Your favorite is that, and my favorite is 0 Hour, which is right after it. So,
Yep. Two good
pretty
episodes.
nice. All right, here's mine. A teenage delinquent steals government property, then teams up with a gang of anarchists who go around destroying government property, eventually mounting a massive prison break.
Stealing government property. See, that art, I like the destroying government property things. Sounds to me like the Rebellion, but I don't think it is. Wait, steals government property. Wait, this is Rebels.
you want me to read it to you again?
Destroys government property. Yeah, this is Rebel Season 1.
Which episode?
Oh, droids in distress?
No, here, let me read it to you again.
Okay.
A teenage delinquent steals from a government agency, then gets taken in by a gang of anarchists who destroy government property and eventually
Spark of
mount a
Rebellion.
massive prison break. Yes, it is Spark of Rebellion.
We decided to go for 2 Rebels episodes. That's
Yeah, what a coincidence.
What a coincidence.
The teenage delinquent is Ezra. The government agency is
the
Empire, and the massive prison break is freeing the Wookiees from Kessel.
Kessel, yeah. Rebels is awesome. Jacob likes it more than I do, but like I still love it. I think we disagree on which season is the best, right? I think
Which season do you think is the best?
I think season 4 is the best season of Rebels.
Oh, I also think season 4 is the best.
Really? I thought you thought season 3 was the best. Yeah, season 4 is like awesome.
Speaking of things that are sick, something I forgot to mention earlier, but I really, really want to mention. Big shout out to James L. Venable and Paul Denletier for making the music for Star Wars Clone Wars.
Yes.
Don't get talked about a lot, but the score is fantastic.
One thing that connects all Star Wars is a good score. Wherever you look, there's a great score, and these 2 men were responsible for yet another great Star Wars.
Clone Wars was no exception. The music is always fantastic.
But until next time on In a Galaxy, please follow us on Twitter at In a Galaxy Pod. Email us with all your hot takes and questions and all that for us, swinagalaxy@gmail.com. Follow us on Anchor, Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, we will be there. Anything you want to say before we end this? Next week is going to be the finale of Season 3 of Star Wars in the Galaxy, where we're going to be discussing our overall thoughts on both Attack of the Clones and Star Wars Clone Wars by Genndy Tartakovsky and his team. Anything to say before we go to the next episode and see you next week?
No. Yeah, see everyone next week.
May the Force be with you.
Thank you so much if you made it this far.
May the Force be with you. Always.